This is the video announcement for week 4 continuing. Now just make sure if you decide to use a YouTube video address in your instructions, that's fine, but you still have to give credit. In that big MLA packet, if you look on page 36, it shows you how to give credit in the correct MLA format for a YouTube video. Now again, this is going to be the information you put on the Works Cited page. This is kind of a formula for it, and this is like an example. Now you're going to notice that I found this video right here, as I mentioned, that explains the difference between light and dark wax, because there's different ways that you use those. There's different steps that you use the light and the dark wax. So I would, just want to provide this information to the person reading this particular set of instructions so they kind of understand the difference and they have a visual to explain it as well. So this is the actual YouTube video. Of course, this is the address. You do need to share that. However, you also need to share the name of the video, also the person who actually shared it, the uploader. It might be a person, it may be like Home Depot, it might be an organization of sorts, or a corporate author. Also, sometimes it might be a specific date of uploading, and again it would be a month, a date, and a year. As far as the structure, again, you're going to notice we're using this structure right here. And I have an example, as I mentioned. If I wanted to share this information, and I just wanted kind of a side note of it, I would give the YouTube video here the address and also the title of the video in quotation marks, okay, and also the author right here. But I would want to also give credit to the video on my Works Cited page. This is the title of the video. It's from YouTube. It was uploaded by Amy Howard. This was the date it was uploaded. This is the web address, and I accessed it today, which would be the day I actually viewed it. So that's one thing I want you to understand. If you do decide to use visual evidence that you find from an article that is about this particular task, maybe it has photographs of tools, it has materials, it even has maybe even a specific photograph of a brand that you recommend, or maybe it is a photograph of someone doing something, you can share that. But you do have to give credit to it in the correct MLA format, okay? Now, again, the MLA packet that I gave you is very helpful. There's also another MLA packet I want to share with you as well. It's actually, so the first one I was showing you is letter B. The next one is the H, the MLA. This is something that you may need for other classes as well. Now, this particular source, we're going to actually go first to page 7. Some of this is more literary based for my Comp 2 class, but I just wanted you to see it also has how to do a photograph. It also has how to do an artwork. But one reason I wanted to show it is it explains how you can set it up in your essay, not just your Works Cited, but your essay. Notice this is like a fine classical artwork by Botticelli, but you may have an artwork that someone drew of a step of the process, or a photograph, and it's still the same concept. You always want to have a sentence that overviews like the image, whether it's an artwork or a photograph. There's likely going to be a title of the image, and you're going to say see figure 1 kind of after you talk about that particular site that you're going to show, whether it's a photograph or, again, a drawn graphic. And then below it, just make sure you put figure 1 and put part of the publication information, okay? I also mentioned at the end of this handout about the YouTube video again. It gives you the same structure, but either of those MLA packets show you how to do that information. Now, as I mentioned, if you just take a picture, like with your cell phone, you don't have to have a Works Cited, but you do have to credit the photograph. And let me show you what you're going to do for that. We do have an example on Canvas, and I want to show you where that is. We're going to go back up to the instructions module. Now, when you look back up at the instructions module, we're actually going to look at the 4th example. So click on the 4th example. This is the dental kind of impression process that I mentioned. Notice this particular individual has a template that they're given by their dental office likely. Okay, every one of these in the examples looks very different. Okay, some of them have like the overall purpose of the task, Also, who is supposed to perform this task. You may not have this information. It's fine. Okay, this just shows you kind of the different tasks for people who work in this particular profession and what they do. It talks about the equipment that's needed. Okay, notice this is 5 pages. Yours is likely not going to be this long. It has the materials that you need, the precautions that need to be taken, procedures, okay, how to actually deal with the impression, whether it's wet, dry, and actually trimming it after you've, have it. This particular individual has 2 photographs. Notice this figure 1 and figure 2. Now, the person who wrote these instructions took the photographs. So notice figure 1, it just has like a title for the photograph. Figure 2, okay, and I'm going to move this out of the way so you can see it. It has a title of the photograph. Now, all you would have to make sure that you do is in your actual instructions, you want to give credit to those particular, figures that you're going to be looking at, okay? You're going to notice in the instructions, okay, if you scroll through, you're going to look for C figure 1 and C figure 2. Okay, so if you look through, I think they're actually toward the end. Okay, here's this one, C figure 1. That references the person that's doing this particular task to the first figure. If you keep going to the second page, you're going to notice it has C figure 2. Okay, I would encourage you, just for placement, try to put the photograph as close to the figure reference as possible so you're not having to search through it. I don't know if you noticed, but I had to search for them. But in the example that I gave you, I tried to put them in close proximity. Try to do that if at all possible, if you can as well. Now, as far as the types of images that you use, okay, there's so many different types of images that you can use for the instructions assignment. The types of graphics can vary. You're going to notice if you look underneath the module 2 graphics, using graphics and technical writing, this shows you just the wide spectrum of graphics that you can use, okay? Notice the main thing I want you to see is that the graphic advances the instructions, the clarity of it, okay? You want very brief, specific instructions as far as word choice, and the graphics help enhance and explain. So you're going to notice some of them might just be brief images, okay? Others, they may be more detailed, okay? So I'm just showing you some different examples. And you can actually draw these. If you are artistic and you want to draw them, you can. Notice here, sometimes it's pie charts, bar graphs, okay? These are kind of almost like bubble mapping, but it's with squares, kind of more idea mapping. Later on, you're going to be using graphics for budgets when you do your proposal, so you can see what this looks like. Spreadsheets as well. You may want to use a spreadsheet for this assignment, for you to overview the materials that are needed. You don't have to talk about the cost for this particular assignment because that's not the purpose of it, but you could list the, just overall the items that are needed. Okay, and if there's a specific size or something, you could put it there. There may just be two categories, and if you may want to talk about the quantities that you can do, and you can create these. You don't have to do a works cited for these, but we need to say see figure 1 and put figure 1 below that particular image, or see figure 2 and put figure 2 below it as well. So look at all these different images. You can use these as a reference. I'm going to be honest though, most of you for the instructions assignment, you're going to be using either photographs or videos. And again, if they're photographs you take, just give a title to the photograph and make sure it's figure 1, give a title. Figure 2, give a title. And then later in your instructions, clearly state see figure 1, see figure 2 in parentheses. Use, again, the student examples as a guide for yourself, okay? But if you do take images or videos from websites, do not forget you have to give correct MLA documentation. So look at that MLA section, especially those 2 packets I showed you. Also, there is an Al Purdue link that you can use as well. Feel free to use those if you want to use those to help you do a works cited page. Now, unfortunately, the instructions are not your only assignment this week. You do have another assignment. You have Grammar Quiz 3, and we need to talk about that. Now, for Grammar Quiz 3, you first are going to be reviewed on fragments, incomplete sentences. Unfortunately, I have seen some fragments in many of your letters over the last 2 weeks. So many of you need to definitely focus in on this particular lesson to prevent those. You're going to notice I do have a handout that's going to help you understand the types of fragments and how to prevent them and maybe even how to correct them. I do have a lecture that I give my students in class for you as well. And also several different educational videos and websites that will help you. Many of them I didn't make, but I found them very, very helpful. Also take some self-tests, and I have those mentioned here before you actually take the grammar quiz on Sunday, March 7th. Now you're going to notice again, if you look on our modules page for the Grammar Review 3, probably the most important thing you need to do is download the audio slideshow, make sure it's under slideshow, and click the little speakers and listen to my lecture. Watch these other videos from Schmoop and Khan Academy. Some of them are silly, some of them are serious, but they'll help you understand how to avoid those errors, okay? And some of them review on run-ons again, because I know some of you are still having run-ons, okay? Again, some of these have videos and a self-test, and some of them are just quizzes that you can self-test your on. As far as the grammar quiz, you have 3 attempts, and the highest grade will be the grade that's put into the grade book. Okay, so overall, just make sure for Grammar Quiz 3, watch all of the information and listen to it in reference to the grammar review first and then take the quiz. I've noticed a few of y'all having like 25s, 35s on your quizzes, and I don't think you're watching the lecture and all the information. I tailor the quiz to a lot of the information that's in the modules and in the grammar review, so you really need to print out the handouts. Listen to the grammar lecture I give you in those audio slideshows before you take the quizzes, okay? All right, well, that is all again for week 4. Again, submit your instructions. Please do visuals. It just makes them bigger, better and more informative, but make sure you give credit to them if you go online. And also make sure you complete your grammar review 3 as well as the grammar quiz 3 by the end of the week. It's been a pleasure learning more about you from your letters you've been writing over the last few weeks, and I hope we have a productive week 4. Thank you.